Hola, muchachos and muchachas. Welcome to our history talk on Let's Celebrate Cinco de Mayo. So, yes, Cinco de Mayo, when you hear Cinco de Mayo, you think of guacamole, um, mariachi music, margaritas, tacos, right? So, but there's more to it than that. So, Cinco de Mayo, Spanish for 5th of May, is often mistakenly called Mexican Independence Day. So it actually commemorates the Mexican victory over French colonial forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. So surprisingly, Cinco de Mayo is celebrated more than the United States than in Mexico. So where few Mexicans outside of those living in the city of Puebla take part in it at all. But before we start our celebration, let's look at a little bit of a Mexican history here. So, the Battle of Puebla, right? So, after the Mexican American War, which was in 1846 through 1848, and the Mexican Reform War, 1858 through 1861. So, the Mexican government was almost bankrupt. So, in 1861, Mexican President Benito Juarez issued a 2-year moratorium on payment of foreign debt. So Mexico's largest creditors, Spain, England, and France, sent ships to the port of Veracruz to demand payment. Mexico negotiated with England and Spain, and their ships went home. So, however, French Emperor Napoleon III decided to leverage this opportunity to increase French power in the New World. So Napoleon III sent a heavily armed fleet to Veracruz and forced President Juarez and his government into retreat. So the French force of more than 8,000 pushed on from Veracruz towards Mexico City. Encountered heavy Mexican resistance at Puebla. So there are only 4,500 Mexican troops were able to defeat the much bigger and better armed and better trained French force. How much do we know about Cinco de Mayo? Let's see here. So, what is the world's largest Cinco de Mayo celebration held? So it's actually in Los Angeles, California, where more than 600,000 people attend the festival Fiesta on Broadway and celebrate with Mexican food and music. All right. And then we get into a little bit of morale booster. So the Mexican victory at Puebla was most symbolic. So a year later, the French came back with more than 30,000 troops and captured Mexico City. So, but with the U.S. Civil War over the United States was able to help Mexico fight and ultimately expel the French for good in 1867. So not only did those Cinco de Mayo commemorate the defeat of the huge French force, an army that hadn't been beaten in 50 years, by the small, determined Mexican army, but it also marks the last time any country in the Americas was invaded by a European power, and that's worth celebrating for. So Cinco de Mayo in Mexico. So although Cinco de Mayo is not observed as a national holiday in Mexico, all public schools are closed, and Mexicans are well aware of its significance. So it is an official holiday in the state of Puebla and a neighboring state of Veracruz. So let's talk about Cinco de Mayo in the United States. So Cinco de Mayo was first celebrated in the United States in the early 1860s. So in fact, it has been celebrated continuously in California since 1863. So, but it was not until the late 1950s and 60s that the rest of the country joined the party. Cinco de Mayo gained with the U.S. popularity in the 1980s. When beer companies started promoting their products for the holiday. Now, Cinco de Mayo has evolved into a celebration of Mexican and Mexican-American culture. In much the same way St. Patrick's Day has become a celebration of Irish culture. In 2005, the U.S. Congress issued a concurrent resolution that asked the President of the United States to call upon Americans to honor Cinco de Mayo in appropriate ways. So by 2006, there were at least 150 official Cinco de Mayo celebrations in more than 20 U.S. states. In addition to lots of partying, they feature educational presentations, Mexican music, food, and folk dancing. So there are also Cinco de Mayo celebrations in Canada too as well, so including a Cinco de Mayo street festival in Windsor, Ontario, with Mexican music, dancing, and food too as well. And that is a little bit of our history on Cinco de Mayo. Thank you, everybody. Adios.